Welcome everyone to the very first episode, or maybe we should call it episode 0 of the Free Folk podcast. I'm your host Adam, and if you like Kill Team and you're looking for just some information about Kill Team, and especially information happening in the Queensland, Australia area, you've come to the right place. So as this is just a episode 0, it's more of an introduction into what this podcast is going to be about. So I don't really have a tight schedule of when I'll be releasing podcasts. I'm thinking maybe once a month. Hopefully that might increase depending on demand or if people are interested. And I guess the big one is, what is the podcast going to be about? So it might be a little bit more hyper-localised to say Queensland, Australia, as I am the administrator of the Queensland Kill Team Facebook group. The main reason that we're doing this podcast is I just want to spread the word about Kill Team. I just want to have some of my thoughts sort of expressed on the podcast, and hopefully you and I will get better at playing Kill Team. So why Free Folk podcast and not Queensland Kill Team podcast? Well, the Free Folk are the small gaming group that we have up here in Queensland with a few like-minded individuals. Basically, it all started when I started to run some league events for Kill Team 2nd edition, and I just asked, did we want to do a free league or did we want to do a paid league? It was resounding, we want to do a free league, and that sort of led the charge for the rest of our Kill Team experience here, which was we want free, we don't want to pay too much. The upside of that is we can have as many leagues or as tournaments or whatever we want and we don't pay anything. The downside is we don't have too much prize support, but that's okay because I guess we're more focusing on the games there. So I'd say, to continue the background of the Free Folk, we've been quite, I've used this term a few times now, militantly casual, where we started off with just 3 of us playing Kill Team, and the reason we even started the Facebook group was I would go to my friendly local game store, I would notice there was Kill Team boxes and paraphernalia and all the rest, and it would disappear every week, so I knew somebody out there was buying it. So I started this Facebook group in the hope that maybe that would be a bit of a signal flare for other people to want to try and play Kill Team or meet up for other games, because even though the guys I was playing with, I'm still good friends with, it did get a little bit stale playing the same 2 or 3 people each week, and the same 2 or 3 teams, which got a little bit boring. But now our Facebook group is over 230 people now. So if you do find this podcast and you're not a member of the Facebook group, I encourage you to join that, because that's where I post the most content about meetups. We also have a Discord, which is run by bands down in New South Wales, and I'd highly recommend you join that as well. And maybe we'll put some links up in the next episode for you guys to join and take a look if that's your thing. So that's a bit of a brief explanation of who the Free Folk are, and more or less where we came from in the world of Kill Team. So this weekend, which I'm not sure when this is going to be released, but this weekend was the release of the official 3rd edition of Kill Team. Now, I personally am really, really excited about this. I've been playing Kill Team 2.0, you could call it, since launch. I found it to be a really good game. It was really difficult to start with for me. I'm not a great gamer. I wouldn't say I'm a very good student when it comes to learning things. And what I found in our time was, I'll go back to that phrase again, which was militantly casual. We were probably too casual, the group that we were playing against, or playing with, I should say, before we sort of got into the tournament side of things, or we had more competitive play, I would say. This really raised the bar for me in the enjoyability of the game, as well as being able to sort of test your strategic mind against other people in the local community. So for me, at first, I felt tournament play was really dirty. I'd had some negative play experiences previously with 40k. and some other games. Although I have had positive experiences with competitive play. So another little bit of history about myself. For a very long time, I used to play the X-Wing miniature game. I would consider myself one of the best players in Australia. I'd definitely say in the top maybe 6 or 7 players in Australia. Before it sort of had lots of changes and sort of became this the current game that it is now, which I think is now then FFG, oh not FFG, sorry, Asmodee are no longer supporting the game. So I sort of stopped doing that around the COVID time, and that is probably when I started to look more at miniature games, which led me to Kill Team eventually, not, obviously back in 2019. So, like I'm saying, I've had very positive gameplay when it comes to competitive games like Kill Team and X-Wing alike. So for me, when we started to play more competitive Kill Team, I found the game really started to shine because it is quite complex, and you will, if you're coming into this as your very first sort of experience into competitive play, you are probably going to get a bit bogged down in rules. It's probably going to take you a long time. It's going to probably be a bit of overload if you're as stupid as me, but it is quite enjoyable once you wrap your head around it. So back to the release of 3rd edition. Like I said, I'm very, very, very excited for this. I've actually had my first 2 games. I'll go over that a little bit later. But I just wanted to say that this was like what the podcast is going to be. It's more of me just rambling on, probably talking about any events that are coming up or any Kill Team news. I know there's probably a lot of YouTubers out there or even podcasters that are going to do it better than me. But this is just from my perspective and what my thoughts are, and I'm hoping, we can sort of even discuss some of the points that I raise, and hopefully you can tell me, Adam, you're wrong or you're right. Might be probably more wrong than anything else. So yeah, let's stuck into some of the games that I played on the weekend. So it was quite enjoyable. It was really, really exciting actually. Before we went to our local game store to play, I'd only just received my copy of a 3rd edition box that morning. And when we went to the game store, I was very excited. I jokingly said, I feel like I'm going on a first date because I had, had a shower before I went. I had a shave. I put some nice aftershave on. Sometimes for me, I've got a thing of like look good, feel good. And I was feeling really, really good and really excited to play Kill Team. Which was also like a big day as well because I think we had something like 12 people turn up to the local game store for games, which was really, really good. We usually get, I would say, 8 a night on a Monday night because it was a public holiday up here. I booked the tables out for the day and we had, I think, about 12 people turn up over the day. So it was pretty fun. And, with having a whole day to play Kill Team, you get a couple of games in. I only got 2 in. I was a bit frazzled towards the end, but it was still very exciting. So I took Hand of the Archon as my team I wanted to play. I saw some of the rules released for them recently, and I thought, yeah, I want to give these guys another go. I found it difficult in the old edition to get pain tokens, which is kind of their crux. Or their theme, I guess. And in the new edition, it seems like it was a lot easier for them to get pain tokens, which I can report back definitely it was a lot easier. It was still difficult. You still needed to get a few things off, a few wombo combos or whatever to make it work, but it was good. So, I had 2 games. I had 1 game against a friend of mine, Max, and he was... I basically had told him, you're going to have to matrix download the rules into my brain for us to be able to have a game because I've flicked through the rule books, but I haven't really had a chance to really digest it all. And I think there might have been some leaks online. I mean, there definitely was leaks online. But I didn't really look at those leaks. So I was going to wait until I had the physical copy of the rule book in my hand. So the first game I had against Max was Into the Dark. I took Hand of the Archon, he took Angels of Death, and I think there was a few gotchas straight away for me personally, and some of those things were like the new obscuring rules and how they work, which is a bit difficult because it's a big change from 2nd to 3rd edition. If you didn't already know, basically in 2nd edition, obscuring more or less meant you couldn't really get shot unless there was another rule that negated that. But in 3rd edition, you can still take a shot at someone who is obscured, but the way it works is it reduces your piercing and it actually takes all your crits and turns them to normal hits and then discards one of your normal hits. So even if you have a very good roll, like if you have a god roll on your weapon, you actually end up having a pretty mediocre shot at the operative you're trying to shoot. And it was a real feels bad moment. And like I said, I'm not very good at learning rules and things of that nature, because not only did I do that twice in one turning point, I think I continued to do it throughout the game. And it wasn't until really about midway through I was like, yeah, these shots are actually really bad and I should stop taking them, which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, we only played a little bit because basically Max had already been playing ahead of time because he had access to the new rules. So he knew them better than me, which was really good. So thank you very much, Max, for taking me through my first game. I then immediately set up for another game, which I was going to play against a friend of mine, Taz. Unfortunately, well, maybe not fortunately, unfortunately, Taz is probably our best player up here in Queensland. So fortunate for me, another gent, Noah, turned up and I had a game against him. So I had one game previously, Noah had one game, so we're a bit more on a level playing field. And I'll have to say that we were playing on the Volcus kill team board, which was new to me. The rules were new to me, and playing against the new Nemesis Claw, which Noah took. I took Hand of the Archon again because I started to feel like I got a bit more of a grasp of how they worked. Once again, obscuring came into play because the Nemesis Claw, their whole thing is about being obscured. And, I mean, I learned that lesson again about don't shoot obscured operatives. Basically learned that turning point 1. I was like, yes, that's right, I remember. Don't shoot those guys, take better quality shots. So that was a good learning experience for me. It took me a few goes to get there, but we got there. And I think reporting back, we did play to turning point 4. Noah, I think, ended up on 15 victory points, and I think I only got 10. But once again, it was learning how those new rules work. Also, the new victory point conditions, to me, were new. So, for those who know, or those who don't know, I should say, there's basically 3 now. So you've got your primary op, you've got your kill op, and then you've got your attack op, which you then sort of gamble on, which I like. You gamble on one of those to gain more points. We can go over those rules in another podcast or something like that. But for me, it was understanding how this all worked, and I think I picked recover item as the attack op for me in that second game. But unfortunately, it's a lot harder to achieve than it was in the second edition. In second edition, you just go run and pick up a token and you're done basically. Whereas third edition kind of sucks because you have 3 tokens, you place 1, and then your opponent places the other 2. Very, very difficult. Very hard, I think, for the Hand of the Archon to probably try and capitalise on. So I might just play Seek and Destroy with them for a bit. But overall, it was a really good game. So once again, thanks, Noah. I had such an enjoyable day playing Kill Team and getting to know some of the newer rules that I was just hungry. I was just thirsty for more Kill Team when I got home. So I think that's a good point for me personally, knowing that I was excited for third ed. It didn't disappoint, that's for sure. But I've got a lot of learning to do, so that's something definitely to take away from that. The next thing that I almost got even more excited about was the free rules online. So I started to download all the PDFs I could for the teams. I think the next team I'm going to take and try out is the Phobos kill team. The reason for that is some of their operatives get ignore obscuring rule, which I think is kind of going to be fun because everyone's a bit more comfortable now, and I think I might catch a few people out with it. And also, for me too, I mean, I've learned that lesson, don't shoot the obscured operatives, but if I'm shooting them with something that ignores obscuring, that might be good. So that's exciting to me. I want to give those guys a go, and scouts as well. I like the look of the scouts. They've had a bit of a, I guess, some people might say they've had a bit of a dampening or a nerf from the end of 2nd edition, but I still think they look strong. I mean, it's 9 operatives with bolt guns and all their little tricks and stuff. So the next game I'll report how I went. Maybe do a bit more of an in-depth analysis of the team, if that's something you guys are interested in. But overall, I'm pretty excited to continue playing 3rd edition. I haven't really had a chance to put together any of my kit from the new Hivestorm box, but it is on my list to get the kill zone up and running ASAP, and also get the new equipment out of its sprues and ready to go. I got to borrow some razor wire from a fellow gamer. Didn't really get to use it. I didn't really understand how it worked when I picked it. And the map that we were playing on didn't really lend itself to me wanting to use razor wire tactically. So I just kind of put it out in the middle of nowhere. It didn't really make any sense for it to go there anyway. So it was a bit of a non-event. But yeah, so I'm excited about that. And that brings me to the end of that little experience of the start of 3rd edition. I'm really excited to see more teams and how they all work. We also had the announcement of the new Orc team and the new Rattling team, which seems interesting. It's just a little bit of teaser at the moment. I think a lot of people are excited about that. I think for the next 2 episodes, out there I'm going to be focusing really on like orcs, and they want to do something to some other people. So that should just be the ramblings really of me. I like them because they're sort of lore-wise. The next few episodes, they're little guys with big attitudes. So I kind of like that ticket sort of thing, and obviously they've got a bit of a Hobbit theme there, which is nice. And if there's any tips or tricks that they can give to us to help us get better at Kill Team, it's the overall view of this podcast is to let everybody know what's happening in Queensland and where we can play games and what we can do, and overall get better at the game, because like I said, my experience originally was militantly casual. It was fun, it was great, it was whatever, but once I started getting into a more competitive mindset, and that's being competitive and being a good sportsman, which we'll obviously cover in another episode. But once we started getting more competitive, I found that the games became way more enjoyable and way more satisfying. So when you lost a game, you felt like you learnt so much more. And then when you won a game, it was satisfying to beat the other person, because tactically you've done a good job. It wasn't just like you got a lucky dice roll or whatever it may be. So yeah, for me, I feel like I want to try and help everybody else get that experience as well. I know there are some gamers out there that definitely could benefit from it, and there's some guys out there who probably are already at a greater skill level than me, but I'm sure that they can listen to this podcast and maybe they can add their 2 cents and they can help us get better as well. So guys, thank you so much for listening. I truly appreciate it. Please do all that stuff that the YouTubers and all that say, like, follow, subscribe and all that. And join the Facebook group, get involved in our discussions of when you're going to play a game, and post where you're going. So that way we can help everyone know in local pockets around Queensland, games are on and we're having fun. So thanks very much, guys, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.